Alright everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. So yesterday I published a video about my exit from veganism. I also published a video of me eating some raw fish, some raw eggs, honey, you name it. And I knew that I would get some backlash from it. I mean, I don't mind. That's kind of par for the course. A lot of people have chosen to look at me a certain way. And now that I don't any longer resonate with that template that they used to look at me through, suddenly I'm their enemy. So again, I don't mind the backlash. I really don't. In fact, I invite it. I've, for months now, been telling you that I've let go of the vegan diet. I've made multiple posts about this. I've mentioned it in videos, you name it. It worked well for me while I was doing it, but it led to some issues. And I feel a lot better now, not being in the cult, the vegan cult. And it is a cult. I'm not saying that all vegans are bad in any way, shape, or form. In fact, like I said in those videos, I think that the vegan diet, if done properly, can be one of the best detox and elimination diets that there is. I've seen it work wonders on people with heart disease, cholesterol problems, depression, you name it. But I've also seen those same people that experience benefit, a large handful of them, they eventually ran into some issues. So there are certain things that you can get from plants, or excuse me, there's just certain things that you can get from animals that you cannot get from plants. Plants more so are like a detox, and animal products nourish. I definitely agree with Dr. Kassar in that regard. But again, I'm not against all vegans, but I think the overarching vegan community has kind of lost its way. Now, in that video where I talked about how and why I left veganism, I explained why I feel justified in my leaving the cult, in me leaving the cult, excuse me. So I just want to remind you guys, all of you who have left some nasty comments, you must not have watched the video in its entirety, and if you did, you probably harbored a little bit of selective hearing, because I very coherently explained why I left veganism. And I also explained the fact that a vegan diet causes damage to the earth and animals as well. So this is something that you guys just do not want to hear. So I know carnivores, people who are on the carnivore diet, who they'll buy thousands of dollars worth of meat at one time, and they'll put it in their freezer, and they'll live on that for a very, very, very long time. Do you know how long you can live off of one cow if you aren't a lily liver like most people and you actually eat the internal organs? Do you have any clue how long you can live off of one life lost? Especially just one person. You can cause a very, very significantly low amount of death on a carnivore diet. But now we have Dow Chemical, Monsanto, we have the big agricultural companies, you name it. They've come, big ag, and they've decimated large populations, or excuse me, a large majority of the land in the United States. They've decimated that. They've flattened everything out, killed all of the the trees, the plants, the invasive species, or the species that were living there, so that they could raise crops, vegetables, so that you could have your elitist vegan diet and act like you're some angel that gets to sit like a buzzard atop of anyone who doesn't resonate with your dietary dogma. Get real. And I know this better than anyone because I used to be one. So again, fool, if you think that your vegan diet does not cause harm, you are delusional, and you are not willing to look at the truth. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my best to buy animal products locally from people and ranchers and farmers, you name it, that have nothing to do with big ag. So don't come over here and try to point your finger at me, because it's not going to affect me. All you jabbering vegans. I swear it's like you guys are just waiting at the gates, foaming at the mouths like hangry, rabid dogs, just waiting to lash out at people who don't resonate with your vegan template. Do something with it. If you're so sure of veganism, get off your ass and do something. I can't tell you how many people I know who are vegans who, it's like, they're just slacktivists, not activists, they're slacktivists. And that's like all they do. Like, oh, I'm a vegan, so I have this superiority complex now. How many of you guys are actually doing anything with your veganism? How many of you guys even have channels? What are you doing with your time? Or are you just waiting to leave comments on people's channels to lash out like idiots? I mean, there's people in my most recent the video where I talked about me leaving veganism, there's people there who have been hanging out in the chat and leaving these just embarrassingly stupid comments for 24 hours. Leave your comment, say what you got to say, and move on. Do something. Be creative. Do something to help the animals other than bitch at people who left the vegan cult. And like I said, moron. And I'm not pointing my finger and judging my subscribers. I'm pointing the finger back at the people pointing their finger at me, because you lack context and you lack an overarching look at the way the world works. We don't live in a pansy world. We don't live in a world of bunnies and unicorns and swans. We live in a very hardcore savage ecosystem where life consumes itself. We live in a self-recycling, self-consuming, self-sustained system. It's called Earth. It's a savage environment. Things eat one another. So, I mean, people talking about the law of unity and the law of all these natural laws and how I'm violating natural law because I eat animal products. What natural law, moron? Earth is a savage ecosystem. We live in a world that is governed by survival of the fittest. When are you going to get that? There's no universal law and all this other nonsense. There's the law of nature, living off the land, eating the right foods that you were designed to eat, you name it. But get rid of your spiritual quasi or just the nonsense. A vegan diet, I hate to tell you, it's highly unnatural. And although I do believe that you can use it to create drastic results that are beneficial, I don't believe that it's sustainable long term. So again, don't try to point your finger at me and act like I'm supporting factory farms and big ag when I'm going out of my way to source local foods from people who want nothing to do with Dow Chemical and all of these other insane corporations. Monsanto, you name it. So you can keep eating your all of your like 900 different pieces of, lentils and beans and carrots and peas and squash and your fake meat and all your other shit and your protein shakes, etc., all of your soy. I'm thriving off a very small amount of foods, very small, and I eat hardly any food at this point, and I'm incredibly satiated. A lot of what I eat is raw, and I don't even eat for the taste, because the stuff I'm currently eating, I don't think it tastes all that great. I eat it because my body needs it and my body thrives with it. And I haven't just excluded all plant foods. No. But right now I'm doing some serious number crunching, and I'm really marking down and monitoring everything I consume. And if things keep going the way that they're going, now that I eat animal products, I'm more vegan than you typical vegans. Because what is the definition of vegan? The definition of vegan is to cause the least amount of harm possible. Not, oh, you just eat celery and exclude meat. That's not a vegan. And if it is, I want nothing to do with that bullshit. I've told you guys in the last video why I left and how now doing what I'm doing, I eat far less and cause far less harm to the earth. When are you going to get that through your head? And I'm not trying to sound like a dick, but so many of you guys will not listen, and you're just these automatic response machines. No control over your emotions. None whatsoever. Highly emotional, incredibly unstable people who just want to lash out at people because they don't resonate with the current template that they harbor. And I used to be one of these morons. It's just remarkable. So there's more to diet, ladies and gentlemen, than what you would imagine. It's not just as black and white as you think. My God. Pretty soon I'll have my own chicken coop, generating my own eggs, my own garden, my own livestock, you name it. And you can keep eating your store-bought fruits and vegetables with the pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, larvicides, etc. that is destroying the soils of the United States soils and soils worldwide. There's a huge agenda right now behind veganism, and Bill Gates is behind it and a handful of others. They want to come after the ranchers and the farmers. They want to get rid of anything pure and real, and they want to give you slop. They want to feed you slop. So, you know, all these people saying, oh, the vegan diet isn't bad, man. The tree drops the fruit. It's asking to be eaten. Do you just eat fruit? Is that all you eat? And if you do, are you eating fruit that you grow at your house or on a farm of someone that you know? Because the fruit trees didn't just get there on the fields themselves. It requires manual labor, moron. And manual labor was used to decimate the ground and the earth so that these fruit trees can be grown unnaturally in rows. Things don't grow like that in nature. When you grow things in rows, you have to bring in the chemicals, you have to bring in the fungicides, the larvicides, etc. Because when you grow things in rows, the bugs come. Farming like that is highly unnatural. And the organic farming is just as bad as conventional. So you need to snap out of your trance and wake up. I can eat 5 raw eggs, pastured raw eggs, and not need food pretty much all day until I get a little bit of hunger. I can eat a very small amount of food now, and I feel great. I just eat fruits, man. Well, where do those fruits grow? Who harvested them for you? Do you even know them? Because the way I'm doing things now, I'm closer to the people who produce my food than you ever will be. You're getting bananas from Ecuador, fruit from all across the world, the tropics. That's natural. I know all of your avocados that were shipped in from Mexico. That's natural. You ever look up the how much damage the avocado trade does? Have you ever looked up how much damage the banana trade does? And don't try to tell me that, oh, but massive amounts of grain is produced for animal feed. I don't consume that type of animal meat, fool. Like I said, I'm doing my best to support local foods the way that we were designed to. And sure, I'll go to the store and buy some honey. I'm not perfect. But my God, you can't even compare the two. It's like comparing apples and oranges. The typical vegan diet where you just go and you buy your grains and your lentils and your beans and you don't know where they came from and you don't know what's on them, and it's just madness. And like I said earlier, there's a massive amount of life lost to produce your spinach and your vegetables and your carrots and all your other shit. But you just don't want to acknowledge that. You do not want to accept that truth. You just want to hold on to your flimsy superiority complex that is crumbling at an accelerated rate. Veganism is dying. And although I do believe that the vegan diet can be used with great benefit for certain people, it's not sustainable long term, especially in today's world with all of the mineral depletion in the soils and the chemical companies taking everything over. When are you going to realize this? Some of the stuff that I got today, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, vaccine-free. You get to talk to the person when you go get to pick up what you're buying. When you go to Costco or some other bullshit, you're just buying a packaged piece of goods. You don't know where it came from, how it was picked, the suffering that, some of these people went through to pick all that stuff. But you're superior, aren't you? No amount of your babbling is going to affect me, because I've made up my mind, and every single cell in my body is completely behind my decisions. I have no guilt whatsoever. And I'm just making this message to settle the score. So I'm on more of a raw primal diet right now, and I have been for a while, and I feel really good. Am I going to stay eating this way? I don't know. I'm going to listen to my body, because I'm not going to ever subscribe to just one diet type again and build an identity behind it, because that's so foolish. Once you get into the vegan cult, it can become very difficult to get out, because everybody's hangry and everybody wants to kind of have this misery needs company thing. Misery loves company. You're all miserable, and you're unwilling to look at the real truth that's coming out at an accelerated rate. So, to all you angry vegans who say you just eat fruit, where'd your fruit come from? Who picked it? Do you know them? Do you know the story behind it? What type of soils were those fruit trees raised in? What was the mineral balance? How much aluminum and barium and strontium was in that? What type of chemicals were used? How many animals died so that that farm or that land could be decimated so that they could set up your fruit trees to drop your magical fruits at your feet? Enough's enough. Wake up.